Our next guest today is Mike Mahoney, CEO and Chairman of Boston Scientific Corporation. I think it would be fair to say that during his career, Mike has been steeped in the life sciences sector with time at J&J Depuis, Global Healthcare Exchange, and GE Medical Systems. Since joining Boston Scientific, Mike has focused the company on addressing the needs of the evolving healthcare landscape by driving improvements to patient outcomes and increasing healthcare economic efficiency and access. Mike, you're very welcome. Thank you for joining us today. Very much appreciate it. I think it's fair to say when we last met in Ireland in 2019 in Galway, we probably didn't see a pandemic coming at that time. The world has changed significantly. How has it changed for you and how has it changed for Boston Scientific?
Well, great to be with you. I wish it was in person, but this is better than nothing, right? It's been an amazing year, challenging year, I would say, in some respects, but also hopeful with lots of new capabilities. Like many of us, when the pandemic impacted, we saw a significant impact really from in the second quarter in April. In our business, we typically debate whether we're going to grow in a bad year 6% or maybe in a good year 8 or 9%. And so this certainly wasn't in the plans. The pandemic. It was tough. Obviously, like many people, our initial focus was on our employees. How do we keep them safe? How do we help support the hospital customers with their procedures? And also, how do we become part of the solution? So our team did a lot of work. We created low-cost ventilators. We created lots of masks. We did our part in contributions, as you would expect that we would, which we feel really good about. In terms of the business, it had a big impact on us. We're primarily an elective procedure company. And thankfully, although most of our procedures are elective, they cannot be deferred for sometimes more than 6 months or 9 months based on the acuity, and the patients need these life-saving or life-enhancing devices. We saw a very big impact in second quarter, down almost over 30%. And then since then, as you know, the hospitals have done an amazing job globally of managing COVID and still doing elective procedure work. So we saw a very nice improvement in the business in third quarter and also in fourth quarter, but not clearly at normal levels yet, given the spiking of COVID that we've seen around the world. We've seen Asia being less impacted than the EU or the US, but the business still is not quite at a normal level. But with the approvals of the vaccines and the ability for hospitals to manage elective procedures with COVID, we're very bullish and excited that we're on the last throes of this in 2021. And also, we've seen a lot of benefits despite the traumas that's occurred. We've seen enhancements to our business model with digital capabilities. We've all learned how to work more efficiently and more effectively, whether it be meetings like this or else also training doctors remotely and leveraging our digital capabilities. So despite it being a challenging year, we'll come out of it stronger with new capabilities.
And you mentioned Boston Scientific's own role in responding. And I guess medical technologies, together with pharma, have been at the forefront in responding to the COVID pandemic. Did you feel personal responsibility for yourself and for your corporation that you were able to make that response? And what do you see, I suppose, as the outlook now for medical technologies into the medium term?
Yeah, so we're not a diagnostics company, or we didn't produce ventilators or vaccines. So we were kind of out of the sweet spot, but we wanted to help out as much as we possibly could. And obviously our clinical reps are there with our physicians really side by side, helping patients every day, which we feel good about. But we also did a lot in our plants in Ireland to create, as we mentioned, a low-cost ventilator that's been used in stockpiles, as well as additional protective equipment. So we want to contribute that way, as well as significant investments in contributions that we've made, not only for COVID specific hospitals, but also with the social injustice movement. So as a corporate citizen, we've really tried to continue to lead with our values there, and beyond the business, help the greater cause for sure during this year.
I mean, you mentioned the business impacts, and obviously part of those business impacts was I suppose, the suppression of elective surgeries as, health systems in developed countries and developing countries responded to the the acuteness of the pandemic. Do you see a return to a more normal sequencing of that activity in 2021?
We do. We believe that the first quarter will likely have some continued headwinds as the impact of COVID continues to work through the globe, but also the benefit of the vaccines beginning to take place. And also in our business, we have a high acuity factor. So we have divisions like interventional oncology that had very little impact to COVID, given the importance of it. But as you look at the second quarter and the second half of 2021, we see the second half of 2021 being much more a normal environment, and hopefully maybe the back half of the second quarter. So as we look a little bit longer term at the second half of 21, we do see the business becoming quite strong again. And it's really based on the aging demographics that we have, the acuity and the need for the products that we sell, interventional oncology products, cardiology products, peripheral vascular endoscopy. So these are products that patients need, and the demand is there globally. And we continue to expand into new adjacencies as well. So we are very bullish about the business as you look at the second half of 2021, and hopefully you'll see continued improvement through the first half of 2021.
And Mike, where do you see when we return to whatever the new norm is, where do you see the big innovations into the medium term? Where is Boston's focus at this point?
Yeah, so I think we're blessed. We're a interventional medicine company. So some of the trends that you're seeing with hospitals, besides the obvious focus on digital health and telemedicine, is greater procedure volume done in the outpatient setting, where patients want to come in, have procedure, maybe stay one night in the hospital or typically 1 day in and out. And many of our products are geared towards that long-term global trend, which we think is helpful. And you've seen just with interventional medicine how this business is reshaped. In the world of cardiology, used to be drug-eluting stents. Now you see all the benefits of TAVI procedures and mitral procedures, and now heart failure procedures. So you see a lot of work there. In our interventional oncology business, with the acquisition of BTG, we're very bullish on that in treating liver cancer and lung cancer. And we're doing a lot of early clinical work in brain cancer as well as prostate cancer. In our endoscopy world, we're really trying to disrupt the legacy market, which is reusable scopes. And we believe there's a higher risk of infection and an economic model that's more beneficial for hospitals with a single-use scope. And we think we'll create about a $2 billion market in single-use scopes in the endoscopy world. And so there's many different other areas that we're looking at. We have a very active venture portfolio in the company of about 40 companies. We spend about over $1 billion in internal R&D. And so the ability for the company to continue to innovate and expand, increase our growth profile remains very, very bullish.
Fantastic. That sounds very exciting. More generally, as you think about COVID and business, is the pandemic a watershed moment? Will we return to some sort of normal, or has this changed business completely? And will we look back on this as a seminal moment for business?
Yeah, I do think it has. I do think it will have sustained long-term business impact. And part of it for the good. Once we get the vaccine fully penetrated and our hospitals get to have a breather for all the amazing work they've done, I think you've seen a lot of efficiencies that will be deployed long term. I just had a board call this morning, and it was all done remotely. So the company is saving significant dollars on travel and living expenses, how we train doctors. You're seeing remote proctoring taking place around the world using our digital tools. And we've invested 4 times the normal rate in digital capabilities across the company for internal training, for physician training, So I think the long-term benefits we're seeing of using these digital applications will stick in healthcare. I don't think it will ever replace face-to-face. We'll likely offer more options for our employee base. We have over 6,000 employees in Ireland alone. And many of those employees will want to be in the office, but we'll offer more flexibility going forward than we used to in terms of working from home and working remotely, because it can be done very efficiently. So I think you'll see a more flexible work environment and ongoing leveraging of all these digital tools that have produced nice cost efficiencies and productivity benefits for patients and also for hospitals and our employees. But I think we will get back to some level of normalcy in terms of in the office, but not the same level that we used to be.
Mike, Boston Scientific has had a relationship with Ireland since 1994. You have 3 sites here. As you've mentioned, you have close to 6,000 people employed here. What has Boston Scientific's experience been of investing in Ireland, and why Ireland in the first place?
It's been an amazing run we have with Ireland, a commitment. We started in 1994, manufacturing only, and now we employ over 6,000 employees. We're expanding our Galway facility, nearly doubling the size of that facility. That'll open up now and in 2021. And we'll continue to invest there. And what's really great to see is how it's transformed from a primary focus on manufacturing to now, which has always been strategic, but now really strategically our R&D capabilities. So we employ many R&D engineers across Clonmel, Cork, and Galway. We're a big recruiter in the country. And so it's really moved up the value stream in terms of manufacturing, now research and development, and core capabilities. So it's really an essential part of Boston Scientific is our commitment and infrastructure that we have in Ireland, and we continue to enhance that. So we have terrific employees there, very hardworking, very dedicated, and a pretty strong brand name there. And we also move our employees quite a bit in and out of Ireland. We take our Irish team and move them to the US or other parts of the world, and we rotate employees through Ireland. So it's also a proven education training ground for our employees. So it's an important part of our fabric at the company.
Mike, as you think about investing across the globe, what are the key things that you are looking for in a country?
Well, thank you. So it's a global company at Boston, about 50% of our sales in the US, 35% in EMEA, and 15% in Asia Pac. So we like to think about the growth profile of the company and capabilities that we need. And so we've expanded our networks in Asia Pac, where we often see lower cost business and capabilities there, and higher value products in the US and Europe. And so when we think about that, we want to ensure that we move our value products and to match that. But we also, when looking at specific countries, we want to look at the talent in those countries. And do we have the engineering resources, the colleges that we need to support the long-term growth profile? And that's where Ireland's been such a big deal for us. With the colleges that we have here, the engineering talent that we recruit from is why we continue to invest and expand in Ireland. And we do so in the similar countries. We've expanded our footprint in Costa Rica, in Malaysia, and parts of the US. So we're just looking at proper balance given our geographic sales mix, but also the talent base, engineering resources, and where we see the business moving towards.
Mike, it's always a pleasure. Thank you for joining IDA today.
Thank you. Have a good meeting.
I thought those contributions from Peggy Johnson and Mike Mahoney really gave a sense of the affection and regard there is for Ireland. There is so much going on in the chat function, it is difficult to keep up. First thing I want to do at this point is welcome all our colleagues from Asia, many people online from right across Asia. I see that Angela Billick asking about IDEA's focus on growth markets in Asia Pac. And just to say, we've had a very significant focus on growing our Asia investment pipeline over the past 6 years, and that is bearing fruit, and we can see significant substance and depth coming through in that pipeline at this point, particularly in technology, in pharmaceuticals, and in financial services. And that focus will continue in the next strategy. Barry Keogh was asking about health and safety and home working, and I see the Secretary General of our own Department of Enterprise, Trade and Employment, Dr. Orla Quinn, responding. Now that's what I call a hands-on approach. I'll use the opportunity to thank Orla for her ongoing support to myself and to IDA. Gabriel Cosgrave and Leo Clancy are having a conversation on AI, and just to say, actually the platform allows you folks to go into individual rooms and have direct chat as well, if that's what you wish to do, but obviously not while we're on the main stage. I want to go back to Cormac McDonough's question on remote working and broadband, which I might not have answered fully earlier, and I see more questions coming through on the issue of remote working. Firstly, I think remote working does present new opportunities for Ireland and for IDA. And we're already availing of some of those opportunities with existing clients. But we must remember it also has brought other locations into the frame. And it is now a more competitive environment than ever. Feedback from client companies is that the infrastructure has held up very well in Ireland for the most part during this period and has allowed companies to transition to a virtual existence. Obviously, the rollout of rural broadband will be key to maximising the opportunity for those in rural areas. We're now going to take a quick break, after which I will be back speaking with An Taoiseach Micheál Martin.
Maybe it's something in the water, something in the soil, something in our can-do attitude, but good things happen here. Imagination grows, inspiration grows, life sciences, technology and financial hubs grow, tended by a highly skilled English-speaking workforce, our pro-business philosophy and our commitment to the EU. A land where opportunity and resilience grow side by side in a safe and stable environment. This is Ireland, a natural place to put down roots.